Zoom.
Hey, Tammy,
Yes.
quick question. Go to meeting. Does it allow the moderator or the presenter to remove somebody from the meeting?
I don't know that you can remove them. I think that you can mute them, but I don't know that you can mute or remove them.
Okay.
Are you talking about somebody who's participating virtually?
Yeah, not in this meeting, but,
Well, you can,
actually,
I mean, you can, if someone is disrupting the meeting, you can have him or her.
on go to meeting,
If they're disrupting the meeting, there's no reason why that wouldn't apply if they're really disrupting the meeting.
but, and again, I'm not talking about this one. I'm talking about actually the forum that, currently, oh, wait, we're on, 7:00. Talk about this later.
I'm
Hey, I
sorry.
believe everybody's ready. Walt?
Having a hard time hearing you, Robert.
Okay. Must be my turn this
This
week.
conference will now be recorded.
Tammy, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to declare this meeting of the City Council of the City of Escalon, regular meeting of June 15th, 2020 is open, and I'd like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'll go ahead and say the pledge, if everybody doesn't mind repeating the pledge quietly to themselves, and we'll be looking at the flag that's right behind the dais at the community center, at the City Hall. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bellinger,
Here.
Councilmember Merkin,
Here.
Councilmember Legero,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Alves,
Here.
and Mayor Swift.
Here. And by the way, I'd be remiss if I didn't give the introductory remarks as it pertains to this video meeting, and I'd like to make clear for the record that this meeting is being conducted by teleconference pursuant to the Brown Act waivers provided for under the governor's executive order in response to the COVID-19 state of emergency. The agenda states how members of the public may observe and provide public comment. The agenda also states that the public may listen and provide comment telephonically by calling the number listed on the agenda. So having said that, there are no presentations this evening, we will move to the consent calendar. These items are considered routine in nature and are acted upon by a single action unless requested by an individual council member or member of the public for special consideration. For example, regarding item number 2, I will be abstaining from voting on check number 73583, and I would like to pull item number 4 for special consideration.
I would like to see the agenda in a better view. I'm not seeing the consent calendar posted. Thank you.
And if there are no objections, I will be entertaining a motion to accept the remainder of the consent calendar.
So moved.
Second.
It's been so moved and seconded to accept the consent calendar with the one exception that I made regarding items, a specific check number in item number 2, and with the exception of item number 4. Let's do a voice vote. Councilmember Bellinger,
Aye.
Councilmember Legero,
Aye.
Councilmember Merkin,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Alves,
Aye.
and I will also say aye. The balance of the consent calendar passes 5-0. And the only question I have on item number 4 is a point of inquiry. The Escalon pavement restoration project. The streets that are subjected under this, what are they?
Darn it, I'm sorry, I did not catch that she didn't include that.
Justin there?
Well, there,
I am, Robert. Can you ask that question again, please?
Yeah, what streets are we looking at that are included under this, Escalon pavement restoration project 2020? I'm just curious.
The current one that got approved on the second?
The,
Yes, it was
No,
the
they-
second that we got the bids.
yeah,
I believe what you're talking, go ahead, Ed.
that being plural, I think Justin gave a list of the roads and then when they're gonna be done. And on this list, it shows June 2nd, 2020 to install the type of asphalt slurry on the following streets: Jill Street, Dia Street, Arroyo Street, Main Street, Moore Street, 3rd Street, 2nd Street, Coley Avenue from 1st Street to 4th Street. These projects will include replacements of striping, hydrant marking, and street sweeping. The work should be done before winter time this year.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's what I was getting ready to read off.
good.
I just got it
appreciate
myself.
Mayor Pro Tem. It popped in my head, it's like, man, what was the deal on that one? So thank you very much. I'll entertain a motion to approve item number 4, the consent calendar.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve item number 4 on the consent calendar. Voice vote again. Councilmember Bellinger,
Aye.
Councilmember Legero,
Aye.
Councilmember Merkin,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Alves,
Aye.
and I will say aye as well. Item number 4 on the consent calendar passes 5-0.
Mayor Swift.
Yes.
I spent some time today with our city manager, and she informed me that we're gonna spend here somewhere around $160,000 on road repairs. That doesn't include everything, but that's what I think we might be budgeting this year in that ballpark.
Okay. Fantastic. Staff thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Alves. Staff communication.
So Mayor and Council, tonight included in your agenda is the Treasurer's Report for May, the Police Department Activity Update for May, Animal Control Update for May, Development Services, Building Report, Public Works, Water Department, and the Wastewater Treatment Plant, all for May. And staff is available to answer any questions that you might have on those reports.
Okay, let's go,
I have-
well, let me go around the room real quick. Councilmember Bellinger, any questions?
No questions at this time.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Legero?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Merkin?
I'm good, thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem, sorry about that.
That's no problem. A couple questions. The animal control update for May, I didn't get a chance to read through it, but let me ask you this, how are we doing? What's our staff like now at the animal control?
The animal control staff, we currently have still maintaining 3 part-time persons who are working to fill the hours. We have one of those people is in background with another agency for a full-time position, and we currently have an active recruitment going on, but we have not gained a lot of interest in a part-time position.
Yeah, that makes it tough. All right, that answers my question. Let's go back to the agenda. There's another question I have for another item. Okay. How are we doing on our study for the water treatment plant?
We're doing okay. I mean, we're working with them and we have information to get to them, and They're still digging through information,
Okay, and
evaluating
that's with the
solar
that's
and,
with the that's with the wastewater and the water both, correct?
yeah, it's the whole solar and energy efficiencies.
Okay, so basically all of it, I get it. All right, that's good enough. Thank you for your help.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? That sounds good. I just have one question. Speaking on the animal shelter, I just noticed a spike in cats being turned in May. Is that just one huge litter or what?
Well, it goes in cycles, and cats have like 3 different breeding seasons, and so it all depends when the breeding season is in the ferals. We had quite a few turned in, and that's our biggest problem in dealing with cat homes.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much for that answer. No other basic questions on the presentations. We'll go to item number 8. Tammy.
So item number 8 is, Chief Borges.
Yeah, items 8, 9, 10, and 11 all belong to me, so I will be addressing those.
Can we scroll?
Item number 8 with a personnel update for the police department. I wanted to update council in the fact that our last full-time officer was released from the field training program to work on his own, and so we are currently where the council wanted us to be last year, with 12 full-time bodies, and working with that staffing at this time, which will be for probably 2 weeks, until July 1. We also have added a new level 1 reserve officer, Officer Eder Cruz. He was sworn in on May 28th. He's in fact out there in his FTO program working protests as well. He has some prior experience with the Stockton Police Department. He left their FTO program, resigned from it because of a medical issue with one of his children, and that was about 3 years ago. Currently works for Homeland Security as a dispatcher and security officer out of the Bay Area. But he wants to get back into full-time law enforcement. He recertified and joined us. We also have 2 other reserves in background for level 1 reserves that we would hope to have hired sometime in the end of July, early part of August. And we had 2 of our older reserves that were not participating where we wanted to, so they basically resigned or retired. But we'll still be at the level of somewhere around 11 to 12 reserve officers as we move forward.
Fantastic.
Unless you have any questions.
I'll just let any council member shoot on this one. No? Okay, Chief, you have fireworks complaints.
I'm sorry, was there a question? I apologize. Okay.
No question.
No question, then we'll go on to number 9. I know, probably council has been aware of complaints coming in, because I know Mayor Pro Tem Al actually contacted me concerning complaints. We have been receiving complaints about fireworks already. That information has gone out to the officers, especially our graveyard units, with the possible locations. We have a possible location, we believe, over on Sophie that is responsible. We are working on a plan to include some surveillance of areas. I don't want to go into details, but we are going to do some surveillance in those areas, try and pinpoint so that we can do some direct enforcement on these fireworks complaints, especially as we lead into the 4th of July holiday. One of our officers, Officer Smith, has on an attended task force training in regards to fireworks, and he is heading that up. Hopefully he'll be back on the 4th of July. He just got married today and headed out to his honeymoon. So we'll see how long he's gone.
Yeah, you heard a nice one just last night, coming, where I'm at, coming right from the north, right in that neighborhood.
It's a pain but it's trying to locate them, the biggest problem, so that's what we're working on.
All right, well, that's exactly what I thought about when I heard. I thought you'd have to have somebody literally sitting there at that time in the evening. And even then, I mean, I didn't see, I just heard it sounded like a firework, and I think it was a firework, but it's one of those where I didn't know if there was a bang or something. I didn't see anything in the air, so. Any questions on this subject? Okay.
And then moving on to item 10, some of this information I believe has gone to council already, but I just wanted to keep them informed. And Mayor Pro Tem Alves, I wanted to, I put a copy, and I apologize, I put a copy of the letter I sent concerning the anti-racism email in your box today, so you probably didn't have a chance to see it yet. But in regards to the 8 Can't Wait, it's a set of topics that is now getting some traction, and it kind of goes along the lines with police reform, and sometimes it goes hand in hand with defund the police, and even our Attorney General is on board with some of this stuff. But California police chiefs have been involved, and some of the 8 points that are mentioned is, one is de-escalation requirement, which is kind of interesting since this is already addressed in Senate Bill 230, which mandates a policy and training. And our personnel are all scheduled, if they haven't already, to attend de-escalation training and additional de-escalating training. There's a second item requiring warning before shooting. This has also been addressed in AB 392. And so these are issues that have been addressed. Duty to intervene. In Senate Bill 230, it sets forth requirements that an officer should intercede when present and observing another officer using force that is clearly beyond that which is reasonably and objectively necessary. I apologize. Which is necessary as determined by an objectively reasonable officer under the circumstances. And again, as I said, that's already been addressed in the Senate bill. Requiring comprehensive reporting, also addressed in SB 230. Banning the chokehold and strangulation. In SB 230, which it says shall only use a level of force that reasonably believes proportional to the seriousness of the suspected offense. And then the next item is ban shooting at moving vehicles. Further, require use of force continuum, and then require exhaust all alternatives before shooting. And one of the big items they're driving is in regards to policy. Well, most agencies in the state of California subscribe to Lexapol, which is what our city does. And all of these items, other than the past items, the alternatives before shooting, are all addressed in our policy manual under our use of force. That includes the duty to intercede, how to interact and de-escalate, the reporting. The one item that is on there that we will need to consider moving forward, and it may get considered for us, is we currently have the carotid restraint in our use of force. It's basically looked at as deadly force. So, I mean, if you're going to use a carotid on somebody, you have to be into that level of force that you believe would be necessary for deadly force. So, there's a big push to get that removed from everybody's use. Many agencies have already banned it, others are considering banning it, and it may be something that will be down the line that we will probably eliminate from our force. As far as shooting at moving vehicles, that's always been standard. And force continuum is something that was addressed in SB 230 because if you use a continuum for all alternatives before shooting, you're putting officers in a very tenuous situation that if you went through the strict interpretation of this incident, of these requirements, basically, the incident we had a year ago when we had an officer shot at, they would have to, according to them, you would have to go through all of these non-lethal items before you shot back. If you look at the strict interpretation of what they're trying to say here, what has been addressed in SB 392, AB 392 and SB 230, is that you have to take a look at the circumstances that are at present at that time and in the split-second decision. These are issues that are coming forward because of all of the issues in regards to the use of force. The state of California has some of the most stringent levels and training levels for its personnel. So as I already stated, many of these items are already addressed in policy. The other item that I believe most of council should have had is we had a local citizen send an email, and I'll read he says, like many citizens in the country, I have a growing awareness and concern regarding the violence and unfairness towards and disappropriate incarceration rates of Black Americans. I have every respect for the work done by local law enforcement and love that our officers serve with a tradition of community service. In furtherance of that, I would like to know that we are actively ensuring that an Escalon will not be involved in an unjust death of a citizen. In effect, to ensure that the community in which I live is not a contributor, I'm asking if you will share the written policies of the Escalon Police Department regarding some of the following areas of concern. And he listed 5 areas. One was anti-racism training, anti-bias training, our detention, confrontation, and arrest policies. Does local law enforcement do any active community work with traditionally and or actively oppressed populations? And then stress training, what type of training our local law enforcement undergo to hone their ability to remain calm and clear-headed under pressure. I provided him a 3-page written answer. Upon recommendation of our city attorney, I also went and these questions were posted on the PD website underneath my welcome page as a question and answer with the answers that I provided to him attached to that as well. So it's readily available for anyone that visits our site to see those answers. Most of the policies he's requesting are already present on our website. They were placed there several months ago as required. So most of these things have been addressed. And I'm hoping that council had the opportunity to read the letter that I sent to him. And if council has any concerns in regards to my answers of these questions, I'd be happy to try and answer them.
Well, Chief, I want to thank you for your comprehensive response to his questions. I thought it was comprehensive. I thought it was complete. I hope that it did answer his questions to his satisfaction. I thank you for that. Any questions on this item? Okay.
The last item
yes.
is part of the packet, deals with an update concerning the protest that we had in June 6th. I believe everyone had a chance to review that. If you had any questions concerning that, I'm be more than willing to try and answer them at this time.
Any questions on this item? I'm going to assume everybody had a chance to read it.
Well, if there's no questions there, then I'll say one last thing, and that is to thank council and the city manager for the opportunity they provided me 6 years ago. This is my last official council meeting as your chief of police, It was a goal in my life and in my career to be able to become a chief of police, and I thank this community for allowing me to fulfill that goal. I hope I have met the expectations that the council and the city manager had. I believe you have a very good police force that will continue to serve this community. I've been fortunate to work with many excellent men and women in that department as well as in this city. Public Works Director Justin Williams, the Community Development Services Director Dominic Romo, and as well as the City Manager Tammy Council. I cannot express my thanks to them for their support and assistance in the time I've been here. Community has left an impression on me, and one that I've come to love this community, and don't plan to stay away. There's plenty of nice activities I plan to continue to attend. And again, I appreciate and thank you for this opportunity to serve the community.
You know, I mean, like I
That should
say,
do it for me tonight.
well, I'm gonna let any council member, if anybody would like to say something right now, Chief, please go ahead, man, one at a time, of course.
Well, start since nobody else wants to. I'd just like to say, when I met the chief, he and I had a brief discussion. We brought it up the other evening, we were discussing it. I laugh about it now. I'll tell you, we had been through numerous candidates, and we were pretty frustrated as a council to try to find somebody with some integrity. And I pretty much treated them all the same way. But Chief here was somebody special, and I'll tell you, he proved to be special. We will miss you. I know you'll be around, and I'm that. I just want to say what a great job you've done for those young men next door. I'm very impressed. I've been skeptical of this department years ago, and I've nothing but improvement since. And I want to thank you for everything from the bottom of my heart and the people best.
Agreed.
Thank you.
And I'm sure every council member's gonna have a chance to tell you some in the next couple of weeks. I'm sure you're not gonna be able to get away without hearing a lot of kudos. You're the right person at the right time, Chief, and I can't appreciate your professionalism and turning that department around. And you know that those guys, men and women down there, I even tell their family nowadays, and that's all because of you. Thank you for your accessibility. I know I bucked the heck out of you, for example, the last couple weeks with the protests on the horizon, but boy, you answered every call that I made, so I appreciate that. And I know there's a little bit of excitement towards the very end there, but even in that event, you handled everything like better than you would expect anybody to be able to handle a situation like that. And there are a lot of brave men and women in law enforcement. I tell you what, you're one to be looked up to, and I know that your department does, and I know this town is very thankful for you.
Thank you.
Okay, on that note, before anybody starts tearing up, let's go. It matters.
Actually, Mayor, I have a couple more items for staff communications. I just wanted to follow up in regards to COVID and where we're at. The county did issue a new order on late Thursday night that was effective early Friday morning, where they did open up campgrounds and RV, recreation, casinos, card rooms. Now, it says they open community pools, but you are not allowed to do swim lessons. So I just kind of wanted to touch on that. I confirmed today we're not supposed to be doing swim lessons still. I guess your community pool can be open for public swim, but it's very limited on what you can do for a public swim because you still have to keep your social distancing. And along those lines, they haven't opened gyms or fitnesses, which the governor did allow to open last Friday. Our county held off on those, along with movie theaters, which doesn't really affect us, but wineries and bars, zoos, museums, professional sports. And then the governor on Friday has indicated that there are additional, services that could be open this coming Friday, the 19th, which would include nail salons and massage. I am not sure if our county is going to allow that this Friday or not. We haven't been told one way or another, but I just wanted to give you guys that update. We have seen quite a spike in cases and, more importantly, in the hospitalization. I think it was at the end of May, we were like 14 in the hospital, and today we're at 49 in the hospital. So I know that it's not only that the positives have risen, but it's the hospitalization that has kind of been concerning. And with that, the pool, we did look at what it's gonna cost us to equip the pool with all the proper signs, give our lifeguards the proper equipment, and provide what is required for swim lessons. And we estimate it to be about $2,800. And we would need, and we still have, a couple weeks ago, we did reach out to the lifeguards, and we have 6 or 7 of them that have still said, you know, they would be willing to do it. But we would need about 10 to 15 days to get ready because of some of the supplies and the time to get them in. And then the sessions are 2-week sessions, but of course our class sizes are gonna probably be about a third of what they were in prior years. So that's what I have for COVID. Does anybody have any questions on those?
Any questions, please fire away. I'm not gonna go around the room, so if you have a question, please ask.
Okay, so my next topic is the budget work, getting the budget workshop. In polling with the council, it seems that next Wednesday, the 24th, will work. And my question is, would we like to do a workshop at 6 o'clock and then a special meeting to adopt the budget at 7 o'clock? Or we can do the workshop and then adopt the budget on another night for a special meeting.
Let's go with thoughts on this one. Councilmember Bellinger.
Being that this is my first, budget workshop, I'm good with whatever direction it goes the rest, and so I can do them both at the same night or in 2 meetings. I'm flexible with that.
And then I guess one more thing would be whether we want to do that in person or virtual.
Councilmember Bellinger, any thoughts on that? In person, virtual, does it matter?
I think we can work it either way.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Legero.
I'm good with doing both next Wednesday night. Virtual seems fine as long as we're still going through this. I don't have a problem with that, but if we want to, the consensus is to have a in-person meeting and do it that way, I'm fine with that as well.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Merkin.
Let's do them both on Wednesday, and whether we do it in person or online.
Okay, thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Alves.
I'd agree with the majority.
Okay. Well, it sounds like everybody wants to do both on Wednesday, and it also sounds like everybody says, well, you know, either way, virtual or online or in person.
Mayor Swift?
Online, huh?
Mayor Swift?
Yes.
Since the budget's really detailed and you need to see charts and figures, I would like to suggest we do that in person. And I think because of the conditions on the COVID, we'll be okay on that. Just as long as everybody keeps their distance. But virtually, you lose a lot of the detail. I think the budget's just too important not to do it in person.
That brings up an important point, and that is, when will the budget be out to study? Because my sincerest hope is that anybody who is interested in the workshop, either way, will do their homework ahead of time and read it versus putting that's their first exposure. Because I think, Tammy, you get that out a couple days ahead of time, right?
Yeah, my goal is to have it out this Thursday, Friday at the latest. I'm really tried to block out my schedule so I can get it taken care of, but that's the goal. Then they would you guys would have over the weekend and some of next week to review it.
And it's on the internet?
It will be, yes.
Okay, Gary, does that make any bearing on your thoughts, or what do you think?
I still think, the traditional way of charge graphs, questions, when someone goes through the, budget is a lot more informative than just reading a page off the internet. There's a lot lost in the translation when you do that.
Okay.
I strongly request a in-person.
Okay. Well, like I say, up till now, we've done every year in person. I know it, you know, it feel I might be able to answer people's questions a little better. Again, I'm still gonna really encourage, doing the homework first. And, as soon as that budget comes out, take a look at it, ask Tammy any questions, you know, Monday or Tuesday, so that everybody's coming in informed, you know, on it, so. Okay, so Wednesday night, the consensus is that everybody's pretty much indifferent. Do you want to do it in person? Now, we'll have to spread the room out a little farther out too.
Correct.
Okay. So that's the other thing, so, anybody have a problem if we actually just go ahead and do it in person?
Do it in person then, I'm good with that.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter to me, I mean, that's, as long as, again, as long as everybody at least does one through beforehand, so that we're not completely lost, because that budget's a lot to grasp, and I know on the first exposure, if you're just coming in that meeting, it's your first time, and if you do have an interest in it, that's a lot to grasp, so please, you know, you get a chance to do your homework beforehand. So, consensus, we will budget at 6, meeting to approve it at 7, in person Wednesday night, right? Any objection to that? Okay, that means everybody's gotta dress up. So, all right, sounds good. Tammy, what else you have?
Well, my next question was going to be if there's any desire to move, future council meetings to back into the council chambers, or, continue as we've been holding them at this time.
Let me go around the table again, Councilmember Bellinger.
I'd be okay with it as long as we can socially distance the usual suspects that show up to the council meetings and make sure we can accommodate a certain number of people. I think those that don't want to do the same, if they still want to participate, I'm concerned that maybe if we don't publicize it online, that they might, be a little shortchanged in the community if they don't get to see it at least. There might be a little concern there, but I'm okay with going back into chambers.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Legero.
Yeah, I agree. I'm fine with, just going back into chambers, and, you know, even if it's just 1 or 2 people that wanna actually come down in person, you know, that's fine too. I still think, you know, we should have it available online or call in for everybody else, so just accommodate maximum amount of people in the most, ways possible.
Thank you, Councilmember Merkin.
I'm good for going back into chambers.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Alves.
So the majority wants.
Okay. Yeah, and you know, to me, it's funny. I found a real efficiency with these meetings, and I think that is online. And I think it's because people will concentrate and boil down their thoughts, be more succinct and more specific. I still think we get to work through. However, I do know that if I look to see who's attending, there are some that would attend every meeting in person, but they're not on this. And so, you know, I don't want this to be something that is going to keep them from participating in the system. So if we want to go back to the in-person thing, that might be ultimately a little more inclusive. So, Tammy, is that you have direction on that then?
Yes.
Okay. Are you looking at starting with the July 6th meeting?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Anything else?
That is all I have.
I do have one quick note, I understand there's a question regarding item number 3, and if you don't mind at this time, since we're on staff communications, let's go back to that. I think, Mark, you had a question on item number 3.
Hi, everybody. Good to see everybody again. Yeah, I'd like the council to consider reconsidering item number 3. I was having trouble with my microphone earlier on in the meeting, and I couldn't pull it from the consent calendar at that time. But I've got a brief concern regarding the pre-approval of the $40,000 of the a pre-approval of a change order not to exceed $40,000. I'd like us to pull that so we could discuss that briefly. Reconsider it.
Okay. And at this time, refresh my memory, we did this last meeting where we actually.
Yeah, we just did last week, so the council needs to vote on a motion to reconsider item 3.
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's been so moved and seconded to reconsider item number 3 of the consent calendar. Let's go to the voice vote. Councilmember Bellinger.
Aye.
Councilmember Legero.
Aye.
Councilmember Merkin.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Alves.
Aye.
And I'll also vote aye. And we will reconsider item number 3. Mark, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody. So according to the staff report, the lowest bidder was $426,141. The second lowest bidder was $453,517. So if we were to give pre-approval of up to $40,000 in change orders, that would essentially make the approval of the lowest bid more than the second lowest bid. In other words, it may appear that we've actually granted more money to the awarding party than the second lowest bidder, which would possibly create a protest. So my suggestion was, if you still want to delegate pre-approval, if you still want to pre-approve some discretion from change orders ahead of time, keep it to $25,000 instead of $40,000, because then the $25,000 plus the $426,000 would still be lower than the second lowest bid of $453,000. Does that make sense?
It does. Go ahead. Mayor Pro Tem Alves.
I really like it. Good thinking. I really appreciate that sort of scrutiny. That's perfect. I agree with your point. I never stopped to think about it, but you're right. If we're going to give the option of a surplus money to somebody who bid lower that would exceed what the person below him bid, obviously there is a conflict there, and that's perfect. Thank you for pointing it out.
I guess my question would be for everybody is, would this authorization for change orders be granted to the next bidder? If this is something that's out of the scope or unexpected, it doesn't matter who the bidder that it was awarded to, we would still have change orders that would cost money, and it would be applied to the other bid as well. So I don't know that the person who was in second place could have a stand on that, because it was work that was probably outside the scope of the original bid for both companies. So in that case, the change order would have hit the second bidder as well.
You'd have to look at both bids and be able to scrutinize them to see if apples were apples.
So when the bids are evaluated, the engineers have a set number of cost and how they bid that. So it's exactly as Councilmember Bellinger was indicating, this would be for unknown issues with the project. So not something that was within the bid, but they do scrutinize the bids when they come in and compare for apples to apples.
My only concern is, and I understand this makes perfect sense, but I'm just wondering if we're in a situation, if this puts us the next time in a situation, let's say the next highest bid is, let's say, $4,000 apart. And would that therefore bind us essentially to only be able to allow change orders to, let's say, up to $3,999? You see what I'm saying, Mark? I mean, would that put us in a tight spot on the next one, if that's a possibility?
I see what you're saying. I don't think, well, off the top of my head, I'm not sure if it would set precedent. That's really what we're saying here. I had briefly checked with the attorney that does construction law in our firm in the time, a little bit of time that I had, and he kind of agreed we should reduce the amount from 40,000 to an amount that's lower than that to avoid the possibility of a protest. And then if necessary, staff could come back later and ask for approval for a change order. That's a good question, Mayor. I'm not sure. I mean, I don't think it would be precedental, but it would be a good idea to understand going forward whether we should do this as a policy going forward or not.
Well, yeah, and you know, maybe my thought tonight is, and I agree, and I respect your point, and maybe now that this has been brought up, maybe it would be a smart move in this situation to lower that change order amount to the 26,000 or 25,000, knowing that we could come back later if we needed to. And in the time, if you wouldn't mind, ask him about, well, what do you do next time if the bids are only $5,000 apart, let's say on a $500,000 job? You know, does that really kind of limit you to change orders up to $5,000, you know, initially, and then maybe down the road you can get for more? It'd be great if we can get his input on it. Maybe
Sure.
tonight, what you suggested, just be on the safe side.
And I'm happy to do that. And for example, in item number 4, there was a pre-approval of $25,000, and that was underneath the spread, which was a much greater spread. Yeah. So it's not a concern for tonight on item 4, just item 3.
Yeah, and I'll tell you the difference between those two items is this item number 3 has to deal with water, replacing some water main, and unfortunately, when you get into those types of projects, there typically is some unknown in them, and that's why there was a greater number on there for change orders, but we can change it to 25,000, it's not a problem.
Let me ask you this, Cammie, is this information in terms of the bid made public after this has been accepted?
Just the list of bidders and their bid, not the detailed bid normally.
I'm referring to the 40,000.
Yes.
Well, it's public information because it's on the agenda, yes.
Okay, so, you know, not to be paranoid, but, you know, I think people look at that and they know they got some cushion there. I don't know. I think I like the idea. I think Mark was right on target in this thing. I like the idea. We can always ask for more, but let's not tell them we have more. I like that. No, I like the whole concept.
So Mayor Pro Tem Elves, not to move it along, but you want to put
Yeah,
that in motion?
I would move in that favor to do those changes down to 20, whatever it was, where it wouldn't exceed the bottom one below it. Absolutely. That was a great idea.
So we're gonna exceed the grant, the change order authorization for the city manager in an amount not to exceed 25,000.
Yep.
Go.
Is there a second on the motion?
Second.
Motion's been moved and seconded to run item number 3 to grant change order authorization to the city manager in amount not to exceed $25,000. Is there any discussion on the motion on the table? Seeing none, we will proceed to vote. Again, voice vote. Councilmember Bellinger.
Aye.
Councilmember Legero.
Aye.
Councilmember Merkin.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Alves.
Aye.
I'll vote aye as well. Motion passes 5-0. And yeah, actually, Margaret, if you don't mind, if you could ask and see how we can go forward, you know, with that concept.
For the future.
Yeah, for
We'll
the
do that.
future. Yeah, keep ourselves clean when we award the bid, but then down the road, give us the option if we need to, because, you know, it'll happen. But no, I appreciate
Absolutely.
that. Okay, no,
My
thank
pleasure.
you. Tammy, anything else under staff communications?
No.
Okay, well, let me go to matters presented from the audience, and at this time, the public may address the city council on any item on the agenda, but that is within the authority of the council. Speaker is limited to maximum 5 minutes. And let's start off, is there anybody on the go-to meeting that would like to speak? Okay. Seeing none, is there anybody who called in on telephone who would like to speak tonight? Seeing none, we will go back to, I understand we have a couple public hearings tonight, and item number 12. John, it looks like this is you. John?
Yes, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. John Ando, Transit Coordinator. I'm here today to request that we hold a public hearing to amend the E-Trans fare structure effective July 1 of 2020. The last time the fare structure was amended was last year to simplify our fare structure to eliminate the two different fares between our local dial-a-ride and our intercity service to Modesto. The purpose of this amendment to the fare structure is to modify our fares to match those that are being charged by Modesto Area Express. As council is aware, the city of Modesto will start operating E-Trans on July 1, and as part of that operation of our service, that our routes and services will be integrated with the MAX system. So anyone will be able to travel seamlessly between Modesto, Ceres, Escalon, and Salida. So as a result, the fares would increase by 25 to 50 cents on all categories. Seniors would increase from 60 years old to 65 years old, and then we would trade E-Trans passes for MAX passes. We posted flyers on all the buses, and we did a public hearing notice in the newspaper to ensure that everyone was aware of this proposed fare change. And I asked that you hold a public hearing, and provided that you've received comments back from the public hearing, close the public hearing, and staff recommends approval of this item. Be happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Are there any questions from any councilors before I declare the
I got
public
but
hearing?
we're in a kind of an economic turn down at this point, and here we are, we're gonna raise these rates on people that basically are at the lower level of earnings. I'm a little surprised. How do you, John, what's the deal with that?
So we applied with Caltrans for what is called low carbon transit options funding. And as part of that funding, we will be using that to offer free fares to our riders, and we're going to be doing that at various times throughout the year. The first time will be the month of July, where Caltrans will reimburse us for all fares collected on E-Trans. So that can also help mitigate some of our, for those that are struggling with having to pay transit fares. And we'll be doing that in partnership with Modesto. They'll also be doing more of these events throughout the year. And so the fare increase would technically take effect on August 1.
And the main focus for the increase again was for what?
Is to match our fare structure with the city of Modesto, since they'll be operating our transit service starting July 1st.
So the only reason we're raising these is in order to be in compliance with Modesto's current transit system, correct?
That's correct.
And how does that affect us? I'm not sure if I understand this. What I'm hearing is that we're going to take our transit system and raise the rates because our sister city rates are higher. Is that correct?
Well, it's not, well, yes. To answer your question directly, yes. But also it will help us in achieving a greater fare box recovery ratio as relates to revenues that we get from our passengers. Presently, our fare box ratio is about 2.5%, and since COVID, it's dropped to about 1.9%.
Do you think the fare increase will affect your ridership?
I do not. I've talked with some of the riders, and they're fine. They actually see the value because now they don't have to pay that transfer fee or an extra fare to ride the MAX system when they need to go to, let's say, MJC or Memorial Medical Center or other destinations in Modesto. They can simply just pay one fare and get a day pass to ride the entire MAX system free of charge. And we
Okay,
do
so
have a
it's-
lot of our riders that go to Modesto that end up riding the MAX system.
So would that be fair to assume that it was a trade-off, kind of?
I would say it's a good trade-off, yes.
All right, John, thank you.
If there are no, opening questions from the council, no further opening questions from the council, I'd like to open this up to the public. And public hearing, anybody from the audience? Going once, going twice, and we will close the public hearing and bring it back to council for action. Okay.
I would move on staff's recommendation.
Second.
Moved and seconded to move on staff's recommendation to amend the fare structure for E-Trans transit services effective July 1, 2020. Is there any discussion of the motion on the table? Seeing none, we'll proceed to voice vote. Councilmember Bellinger.
Aye.
Councilmember Legero.
Aye.
Councilmember Merkin.
Aye.
Council Mayor Pro Tem Alves.
Aye.
I'll vote aye as well. Motion passes 5-0. Item number 13, adoption of the City of Escalon Title VI program. It is also a public hearing.
Yes, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. Every 3 years, the City of Escalon has to update its Title VI program as it relates to public transit. And Title VI basically prohibits discrimination on the basis of race, color, or natural origin in programs or activities that are receiving federal funds. The last time the City Council adopted our Title VI program was May 15, 2017. We advertised this Title VI program to the transit ridership, as well as placed a flyer on our buses and notice in the newspaper. And we basically just updated the statistics related to the city and our transit ridership, as well as updated any relevant information to ensure compliance with FTA's, which is the Federal Transit Administration's Title VI circular. I'd ask that you hold a public hearing, and then after you receive comments from the public, staff's recommendation is that council adopts this updated Title VI program through fiscal year 2023. And I'll be happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Very good. Any opening questions from the council to John? Seeing none, we'll open up the public hearing. And is there any member of the public that would like to ask any questions to John at this time regarding this issue? There's somebody moving around. Okay. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and bring this back to council for action.
I would move on staff's recommendation.
Second.
To move and seconded to adopt the updated City of Escalon's Title VI program. Is there any discussion of the motion on the table? Seeing none, we'll proceed to a voice vote. Councilmember Bellinger.
Aye.
Councilmember Legero.
Aye.
Councilmember Merkin.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Alves.
Aye.
I'll say I will vote aye as well. Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Administrative matters. Item number 14.
Thank you, Mayor. This item was
Hold on,
continued from the
Dominique, just,
Yes.
hold on. So, on last Thursday, late night, I got an email from Mr. Lear indicating that he wasn't quite ready, and needed some clarification. I responded to him on Friday, and then tonight at 6 o'clock, I got an email that said, he's preparing a written appeal or objection to the liquidation clause as a matter of law stipulated in both sections 4 and 5 of our agreement. This will not be ready tonight. So, the council, and I'll defer to Mark and Ann, if, what the council can take action, or if they could table this to the next meeting. Again, I'll defer to Ann or Mark on this one.
Well, if he's essentially he said he's not ready tonight. Is that what he said?
Yeah, his initial, because he says that he is, that he's writing a different appeal letter referencing the contract and issues with, I believe it's referencing legality of the liquidated damages.
Okay, but he didn't say that he's gonna be ready at the next meeting.
He didn't say when he would be ready.
Okay. Well, you know, I don't think the council is under any obligation to continue this.
Excuse me. Can I chime in on this? This is David Lear.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be okay.
Yeah, go ahead, David.
I also, good night. I also told Tammy that lead counsel was not available at the very last minute due to unforeseen circumstances. That's also part of the reason.
I wonder if it'd be just cleaner just to pull the item for tonight and then revisit it at a later date. Being that okay, Ann?
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I would make sure it's noted that it's at the request of the appellant that this is being tabled or moved. So it's.
Okay, are we, any further issue on this one for tonight then? I think we're all on the same page.
If I may, Mayor, in the municipal code, by chance, do we have a certain amount of time that we are required to hear the appeal?
No.
I'm sorry.
No, this appeal is only pursuant to the agreement. It's not the kind of appeal that's addressed in the code. So.
Very, very good.
Okay, are we okay on that one then, before you move on? Yes. Council Communications, Councilmember Bellinger.
Just like to go around the room again like everybody else and thank the chief for all the hard work he's done over the last 6 years. We're gonna miss you. Glad you're gonna stick around for a little while and help out where you can. I'd like to just extend my hand and say thanks again, and don't be a stranger. Please come by on our park feats when we get to have them again, and come by and join with the rest of us and enjoy this town.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Councilmember Bellinger. Councilmember Legero.
Thank you. Yeah, I just want to echo the same thoughts about the chief. You know, Ed's comments about the other candidates was an understatement. So when we had an opportunity to pick up Chief Borges, that was the timing was perfect. And you know, we were in the process of looking at a city manager and looking at the police department and trying to decide which direction to go. Tammy stepped up into the city manager role and had proven herself in that role, and that allowed us the opportunity to really focus on the police department, figure out how to reset the department, how to give them some leadership over there, and really try and, you know, it's been a long-term process here to get them where they are today. And I just can't thank the chief enough for taking our offer to come to work here, to really taking ownership of that department, bringing to us what the needs were, and convincing us to invest in that department and move forward. Granted, we had some budget problems and recession that slowed the process down a little bit, but you know, I think the proof is where they are now, and the morale and the ongoing good work that the department is doing, and the fact that we had good internal candidates to step into that role. So once again, thank you, Chief, for all that you've done for us, and I'm going to continue for us. We really appreciate everything.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Legero. Councilmember Merkin.
I just echo what everybody said. I thank Chief Borges for his years of service here and what he's done for the department. And I wish you all the best in your retirement and any future endeavors that you might have.
Thank you.
And, did we ever get anyone from Caltrans to come out and look at Highway 120, or have we made contact with them yet?
Yes, Mr. Merkin, we actually did contact them again, after the last council meeting. I was told that their pavement engineer would assess the situation, and they've been getting numerous calls. But I did check on it again today, and there has been no movement. So I will make another phone call tomorrow to inquire about, what their process is gonna be.
Okay, yeah, I just don't want them forgetting about us because we're the stepchild out here in the far netherlands of the, county. Thank you. That's all.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Merkin. Mayor Pro Tem Alves.
I've already said my say. I just want to say thanks for the memories.
You're welcome.
Perfect. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Alves. Yeah, I don't think I could have said it, Chief, any better than what Councilmember Ruggiero said and all the other council members said about what you mean to us and how much we're going to miss you. But like I said, we promise we'll see each other again at some of the good times in town here. And I really do hope everybody had a chance to read, Chief, your synopsis on the protests and everything that happened. You know, I just want to thank everybody concerned with that. You know, that was a scary time for this town, but I tell you what, in the end, we have got to be very, very proud to call ourselves Escalon, because this is how Escalon dealt with a situation like this. And, you know, we dealt with it maturely, and I know many people played a lot of roles behind the scenes, and I'll tell you what, I think Chief Borges, I think you said it all, that I'm proud to be chief of this town too, and this turned into one of our scariest moments, I think, one of our finest moments as a community. And very happy to see you, and I'm very happy that you were at the helm at that time as well, Chief. So thank you very much. And on that note, I'd like to thank
Mayor
everybody
Swift?
who... Yes.
I would just like to say one more note, that we have, offered the police chief position to our current Sergeant Lackey, who has accepted. So he will be our police chief effective July 1. So, if you see him, be sure and congratulate him too. And Chief, thank you for everything. I think everybody said enough of it, but I just wanted to throw that in and acknowledge that Sergeant Lackey was, or is going to be our new chief.
And I think Sergeant Lackey's going to be very successful, and I think a very important reason for that is because he's going to be becoming chief under Chief Borges' tutelage, and I know Sergeant Lackey thinks the world of you as well as the entire department. And so I don't think there's going to be anybody better for him to be learning under, Chief, and I thank you for that as well.
Good job.
And on that note, I will declare tonight's meeting adjourned. Thank you all for coming tonight.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. So,